y'all think, if you had any idea that when you're standing on the precipice of death like I am, how much grades mean, how little they mean. They mean nothing. And if you think about your destiny, the coolest things that ever happened in my life happened because of something that I didn't get. Something that didn't happen to me. I wasn't able to get into a certain major because I wasn't able to pass a particular class. And then all these things happened, and here I am today, right? And all these places in my life where I was some kind of a failure because something bad happened or something happened that I didn't want to have happen. And it's only because that happened that other really awesome things took place in my life. And so people have this idea that, if you don't get the grade and you don't have this and you don't, what you think are awesome things that are going to happen to you, you just live your life in a fantasy. Some of you will have the most awesome, you have some kind of dream, and you're going to go toward that dream, and you're going to fulfill that dream, and you're going to get your perfect job, or your perfect internship, or something that's just the thing that you really want. And you're going to get it because, and I don't know, whatever, right? And then you're going to be crossing the street or whatever, and you're going to get run over by a bus. And you're going to fuck. If I just hadn't got an A in Social 19, if I just would have gotten a B, I wouldn't have this tire of this bus on me, and I'd be great. You know what I mean? Instead, you'll be paralyzed your whole life, and all because you got an A in 119 because you cheated on the attendance, because you snuck out of the room so you could get those 2 extra attendance points that got you an A, and now you're paralyzed because from a bus accident. The hell kind of world is that? That's the world you're in. That's what kind of a world it is. It's all fate. It's all chance. So just live life and don't worry about it. And I know the stoners in here have all had that idea many times before. Yeah, man. Yeah, I've been thinking about that. All right, so is Niesh here? What's that? Oh, yeah. No, if you sneak out, we actually, first off, Ogana and Osa, man, both of them can run faster than you can. So don't sneak out. Okay, I want to introduce you to somebody else, if we could. And then, this is the beginning of the semester, so we're still bringing everybody in. And hang on, she's going to come in a second. What I just gave you, the story I just told for you, that right there, that's the ticket to inner peace right there. Because what that is that is the doorway into accepting the things that you can't change and changing the things that you can, and whatever happens in between is just perfection. That's the doorway to inner peace. And maybe it doesn't matter so much maybe now, but when you get to my age, it really matters. Yo, Niesh, what's up? Can you hear us? You're muted, by the way.
Hi, Sam. I'm not going to lie. I can't hear
there we go. Wait, here we go.
Hi, Sam.
Are we on?
There we go.
Hang on. We're just hold tight.
You're on.
You're on. Okay. Hey, Niesh, how's it going?
Hey, guys.
Okay. We're going to turn you up a little bit. Hey, so this is Niesh. When you all... wait, hang on. You tell them who you are, man.
All right, guys. So my name's Darnisha. Sam calls me Niesh. I think he was the first one to call me that. So
seriously?
Yeah, I think so.
Hang on. Hold on. Seriously?
I think so.
I thought that was your name.
No, I mean,
I thought it was your nickname. I knew it wasn't your name.
I think you were the first person to call me that nickname, though.
No,
I called you the Niesh. Yeah,
maybe
the Niesh. Yeah. There's a difference, my friend. All right, go ahead.
Who's to say? But I took Social 19 all those years ago, just like you guys did. I've been annoying Sam for the past 4 years. he put me in charge of reaching out to volunteers for class. So whenever you guys get a text about being up in the front of the class, that's me. It's a real person. So make sure as soon as you see a text or an email, you guys are right on top of that so that we know who we're going to have in class and we know how many people to expect.
And why is it important to do it as quickly as possible?
So it is that important to do it very quickly because we need to make sure, one, we know how many people are going to get there. We need to know who is actually going to get, because you get extra credit for volunteering. We need to actually know who we're going to give that extra credit to. And we need to know if you're going to be in class or not. So as soon as you see that text from me, please respond whether you're going to volunteer or not.
Yeah.
And especially because I'm always promising the niche that I will get her the names of volunteers by like what time? Like 9 in the morning?
He always promises the day before, and then half the time is always at like 11 o'clock the next day.
Yeah, or it's like 2 hours before class. So I'm like, oh,
so
damn.
Don't be like Sam. Just answer as soon as possible so we can have that head count.
All
right.
Hey. Thanks,
Darnisha. And I wanted to introduce her so you understand that there's a real person there who you're responding to and not just,
not just. I'm also an intern for dialogue, so you guys might see me in a couple of your dialogues this semester. So say hi if you recognize me.
Thanks,
man. I appreciate it. Be well. Rock and roll. Yeah. Okay. So last thing that we're going to do here is
today's a phone day. So go to the next slide if you can. So you can, whatever, if you can have your phones out today. But once again, don't hold them up, all right? Is that cool? And, you can do the back channel chat or Twitter, however you want to do it. But all right, so listen, the title of today's class, we're gonna continue with kind of along the lines of where we were the other day, and I want to, a couple things that I want to say. We're calling this more questions, few answers. I should say fewer answers because. But whatever. But we're going to just continue. This is kind of like the last class and today's class is a little bit of like a smorgasbord, or just hop around on a few different things about what we're doing or what the class is about. And so there are a couple things you need to know. It's a long semester. We have a lot of time to cover lots of different issues, and there's so many fascinating issues to cover. And remember, it's half U.S. and half global, so it's just virtually an unlimited number of things that we could be talking about. And so we're only barely scratching the surface at any one time. So keep that in mind. And if we don't get to something now, maybe we get to it in a few weeks, or in 10 weeks, or 13 weeks, or I don't know. So just be aware of that. So we'll bounce around. We'll just kind of see where we go. And if you have any ideas for class, especially any ideas, things that you think would be really good to talk about, definitely let us. It's just a creative process. Okay. So I want to do a couple things. We're going to continue asking questions today, and with this idea of questioning. And there are a couple things that I wanted to say to you about this, and just kind of how I operate. And one is that I really go through life. First off, I'm very much what we call in the field of the mind, we call a generalist, meaning that I don't, at this stage in my life, I don't have a lot of things on which I'm an expert. In fact, I don't think I have anything that I would call myself an expert on. But I know a little bit about lots of different things, and so I'm a generalist, But being a generalist, what that means is that I'm always kind of on the edge, always at risk of saying something that's really not very smart. Because no matter what I'm talking about, because if I don't have an expert field of study, something that I can claim is like, look, I've been studying this, I've been thinking about it for my whole life, and people come to me as like that person who knows. But rather, so since I don't have that, it means that everything I'm talking about in here, I know a little bit about, but I know just enough to potentially get in trouble. Meaning I say something that's just not very smart. And so I walk through life, which is how all of us are in the world, right? I mean, really, because, it doesn't matter if we play around with electricity or we cook or we're doing plumbing or whatever it is, right? Or figuring out how to best polish a table or clean shoes. There's always someone who knows more. And so I walk through the world with the idea that there's somebody out there, many people, usually, many people, who either A, might be watching the stream, or B, will watch a video, or C, are sitting right here because some of you are experts on certain things and know much more than I do about them. And I have to be, really careful. There's somebody out there that just knows a lot more. And so when I'm talking, I'm trying not to, I'm always, and this is in my life, not just in here, but in my day-to-day life, I'm always trying not to just be ignorant and dumb, which is not easy to do. Every time you open your mouth, you run a certain risk of that, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind when we're asking questions and thinking about things. There's always somebody that knows a lot more. So whenever I'm putting an opinion out or whatever it is, it's like, I'm not really sure. I know this is true. So for me, I've gotten really, really good. And this is one of the beauties of being on camera, is that I've gotten really, really good at talking while knowing that somebody on the other end of that camera is really, really smart about whatever it is I'm saying. So I get really cautious about not overstepping what it is that I can say about a particular topic, okay? And I've been criticized for being an ignoramus by the left and by the right. So, I think I mentioned this, right? If you know anything about me, you would have a sense of that. But that's because what they did was they took one small clip from class, and they used that one tiny clip, and they ran with that clip. Say like, oh, this guy. But what they did was you pull it out of context and you don't see that, if I'm like, hey, well, this, let me tell you something that's really true, and I lay out, this is like absolute truth right here. And then I say, and then I come down here and I say, this is absolute truth. And I say the opposite, right? Well, if you only take that video clip, or you only take this video clip, and then you put it out in the world, then it's like, clearly I'm an idiot, right? But you're not taking them both. And of course, that's what we do often in this world of social media and so on, right? Which is quite a problem. Yeah, I'm not sure what I was talking about. Okay. So the other side is asking open-ended questions. Like, open-ended questions are the questions that really allow people to respond in a way that, just let's just see where they go, right? So if I ask you an open-ended question, then if I can just wait and see where it goes in your mind and where you run with it, like what you bring to the table. And so those are really the best questions for all of us, because we're all learning new things about all of this. We're all learning. And that's why, by the way, when you come up to volunteer, you are never expected to know what it is we're talking about. That's really important. B, do not either in the chat or on Twitter or wherever, just in here, do not be a jerk, right? It's like, don't do that. This isn't gotcha, whatever it is. It's not that, because we're designed, all of these case studies are designed so that you come and volunteer and sit up here and just tell us what you see from where you see it right now at this stage in your life. Okay? That's pretty cool. That's where we want to be, man. That's what's really awesome about it. Okay, so hey, so speaking of that, don't put the next thing up yet. But can we let's see who we have. So It's Varisha and Emma. Can the two of you come up? Awesome. You can sit, is it cool? You want to sit on the desk? All right. Hey, so say, once again, we're bouncing around. So this is a pretty cool topic, I think. Can you just introduce, where you're from, something.
Hi everyone, I'm Varisha. I'm from Virginia, and I'm a kinesiology major, and it's my 3rd year. Yeah.
And you are, so it's Varisha.
Varisha.
Varisha. I said Varisha, and it's Varisha.
Varisha.
Okay, got ya. All right, cool. And wait, where are you from? Virginia?
Virginia.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma. I'm a computer science major. I'm a 2nd year, and I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
From Pittsburgh? Okay. So, if the two of you, we're going to, if you can just kind of turn around, take a look at this slide here. And I want to see what you think about this. So the median household income, what median mean? Do you know what median is versus mean and mode and so on?
Yeah.
Can you just?
So median's like the middle value?
Yeah, median is, so it's that means like half above and half below, right? The middle value. So when we look at median income, if we look at all Asians in the United States, meaning foreign-born, U.S.-born, et cetera, the median household income, right? This is really important because it's everybody in the household, all right? You keep that in mind. So all Asians in the U.S., it's 85,800, okay? It was in 2019. It hasn't changed that much, right? Among Indians, just Indian Asians, so we talk about South Asians, Indian Asians, right? And your family's Indian, right?
Yes.
Okay. So all it's 119, U.S.-born 104, and foreign-born 120, okay? White households, okay? And notice how I put privileged, white privilege, because this is like, everybody talks about, we all talk about white privilege, because this is the thing in the U.S. All white people have privilege, white privilege. So all you white people, Emma, you and I, and all of our white brothers and sisters out here, we're the privileged ones, okay? Got it? So, the reason I did that is because look at white households. So, you identified in the volunteer forum that you were working class.
I do.
Lower middle working class, okay? So, you're the one with white privilege. So do you have any questions for Varisha about that? Because which one are you? You would be U.S. Were your parents born here or in India?
My parents were born in India.
They were born in India?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in the group on the far right. Okay, so her parents were born in India, her household. Emma, do you have any questions for her? Like, what's a question that comes to mind?
Do you feel like that accurately represents your family?
I'd definitely say, my family is, up there, upper class. And from the area that I just come from, the, average, how much you need to, live there and stuff like that, the cost of living is pretty high. So I'd say, the people from my area, it does represent it pretty well.
Is it, you live in it's an Indian community?
I'd say it's pretty diverse, actually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So, Emma, what else?
Do you feel comfortable with the amount of money that your parents make?
Yeah, I'd definitely say I've lived, a comfortable lifestyle.
What else?
Do you have a bigger family or a smaller family?
That's a good question.
So my nuclear family is, pretty small, but I live around, a lot of my cousins and aunts and uncles are all around the place, so everyone's pretty close.
Okay, she just gave you another question right there about her extended family.
Does your extended family's incomes affect your personal income?
Or does it
not
represent
even income,
that?
but
Yeah.
What does it represent for you?
I'd say pretty much around the same area. again, like even like my aunts and uncles, like everyone's kind of in the same business. Most of my family's like engineers and stuff like that, so we're kind of around the same area.
So Emma, do you have another one? You think of one? So here, go here, right? Go here. Think Donald Trump, okay? And think about who Donald Trump was. Donald Trump was really speaking to your people, working class, right? My people. I grew up in the working class, right? I mean, he's speaking to a particular class of white people in particular, right? And what's he saying? What's like a message that he has? And then take that message and ask her.
So even though you're technically, I'm only saying this because it says like white privilege household, and it's saying that this is above that, but do you feel like that privilege is still like felt in other ways?
Dude. Awesome. Okay.
As in privilege.
But you could get really direct now in the question. How do you feel privileged? That's the way you could ask that.
How do you feel privileged?
I definitely feel like privileged as in like the place that my family like, picked to live. We have really great school systems and the whole community itself. Like, again, cost of living is like kind of up there. So we had ample opportunities to, excel in any way we could.
Right? So like how? How long's your family been here? Do you know? In the U.S.? Have you ever traced it back?
Very long on both sides. I would say like past both my great-grandparents.
Yeah, I trace, my name, Richards, goes all the way back to the early 1700s, right? And my wife makes fun of me. Dude, you've been here for over 300 years, and you still were only able to make it to the working class? Like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So it says something about my genealogy, right? So how do you feel? Like, here are these immigrants coming in, and how are you feeling about that? How do you think many white people feel? It doesn't have to be you, but how do many white people feel about that?
I feel like there's two main sides where some people are okay with immigration and some people aren't. And I do know like people say things like, oh, they're stealing our jobs or they're taking away our jobs. But the way that I see it is that I don't think anybody picks where they're born. You don't really do that. So I don't really feel that people who come here, immigrate here, I don't necessarily feel that.
Okay, but many do, right?
Many do. Many do feel that it's taking away their opportunities, and
okay.
they want the American-made companies, and they want to stay like American.
Okay, awesome. So, Varisha, can you you come here? Your parents come here, right? They come here as immigrants. As soon as they enter in, they're above, Emma's family. Right? The moment they enter in the United States, they're above. Did they come here with an education or not?
My parents did come here with like degrees, but they started off with nothing. Really.
Okay, I got you. Okay,
working,
I got you.
Hard jobs and stuff, but eventually over the times, they all like started working together and like helping each other up and stuff like that.
Okay, all right. So they came here with degrees, right? Because they largely would not have gotten in. It would be when your parents would have come here. How old were they when they came?
I'd say like early 30s, late 20s.
Okay, so the time in which they came, it would have been difficult for them to get visas in the United States if they didn't already have college degrees, right?
Yes.
Okay, so and this is true of Indians, this is true of Africans, right? I mean, across the board, you want, you see Africans, and you can assume if they're immigrants to the United States, you can assume they're highly educated. So this is just kind of the nature of things, right? But so they came, they worked hard, and yet, somehow, what's your explanation for how your family? Why are you upper middle class, and Emma, whose family's been here for many generations, is still working class? What's your personal understanding of how that happens?
I'd say that possibly because my family didn't come with a rich roots here or anything set. So they had to like pretty much make everything from scratch or like start from scratch. Whereas like other like families who've been here for a while already have a base of like, oh, I could just join my family company, or like there's already something for me to do. I don't have to keep pushing. Whereas like I'd say my family, like they really had no other choice as to like, oh, we got to do the best we can for our like kids in the future. So I mean, that's how I'd say.
You would say that?
Yeah.
Emma, do you have a question stemming from that?
Okay. So, I mean, just particularly like my situation or other people who like families come from the working class, although like we've been here, we still sometimes have the issue where we don't have like those companies that like we have family members in that like we can go to. So how do you feel knowing that like your parents could come here for a better opportunity, but some people stay here and still can't find a better opportunity?
Or don't find one.
Or
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
find
How,
one.
yeah, how do you explain that, or how do you make sense of that?
Yeah, there definitely are restrictions as to like limited jobs and stuff like that. But in this kind of place like America, where like it's kind of like the melting pot and stuff like that, it is getting pretty like competitive. But unlike other like Asian countries where like competition's the only key, like I feel like maybe the competition might bring out the best in like society. It does kind of suck that like, yeah, there's already like well-established like roots and stuff here, but I feel like, well, just from like my lifestyle, what I've seen is like, if there's an opportunity and you want it, like, gotta keep pushing for it. Like, even if you want an education, like, there are loans and stuff like that, and like, there are other opportunities to help you get to where you want to be.
So, do you have a question? Go
Yeah.
ahead. By the way, can I just say something? It's really hard to, it's hard to be in your shoes, right? Like, so here's the situation, right? Let's lay this out, okay? Here you and I are. I'm not working class now, but I was, right? So I'm going to put myself sitting right next to you, both of us working class. Like, we're here, we're busting away, we're trying to do it. It's like, okay, well, I have this sense of achievement, work harder, work this. Why is it that I see all these other people who are working class who are not suddenly making this kind of money? Some do, but most don't. Most of us reproduce our station in life, right? And I'm like, there's like a struggle there, right? So now you get a chance to talk to this daughter of these immigrants, right? And like, how'd you do that? Like, how the hell did you do that? Your family didn't, my family didn't do it. How the hell did your family do it? Like, that's the question. And then we don't want to be racist about it, right? So you don't want to be like, ask those questions but sound racist. Because see, when Trump says it, dude, I have plenty of time. I have all semester to talk about Biden, okay? And I got a lot of stuff to say about Biden. And I just want to say the following, right? I voted for a Democrat exactly once in my entire life, okay? So I got a lot I can say about Biden. But right now I'm going to say something about Trump. So this guy has divided Americans. He's gone into the heads of people like you and me and said, like, you've been overlooked, right? You're not, the system is slanted against you. But people like her, they come here and look at them. Like, the whole system is set up for them, right? And it's always them. It's you and them, right? So can I ask you a question? So I want to say something about your parents. My guess is they're probably they work really hard and they're driven. Yeah, and because immigrants are. The Indians who don't work really hard, they don't want to work really hard, and they're not really driven, they were back in India. Your parents came here because that's who they are. You got 1.4 billion Indians, right? Well, back then you didn't, but you had 1 billion Indians when your parents came, and there's all plenty of them back in India who are just going like, yeah, man, I'm just going to chill out here and do my thing. But your parents, and so all the other immigrants, right? Like, you don't have a choice. Like, your family's not going to go to India. But like, they're all like looking for the next thing. And so of course they're going to be up here because that's who they are. But if we'd have just taken a random sample of Indians at the time that your parents came, and this is a really important point, right? So this is like going to speak to that. If we had taken a random sample of Indians in the year that your parents came, and said, okay, we're going to pull these random 2,000 Indians and send them to the United States and see how they do, we would have gotten the ones who were like, yeah, okay, whatever, right? I'm just going to sit around and eat my dal and my chole and whatever, right? And they're not going to, and you're going to have the whole sample, and that number is going to go down. But instead what we do is we pick out the really dynamic ones who are like, no, I got some skills, we got some, we know how to start stores, we know how to do this, we know how to do that. And like you're already starting with people who have their eyes on the prize. So, do you have a thought to that? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that. Back when there was like the whole immigration, like when it first started, the shutting down of it, there's like that topic of people who are coming in do already have a step up from like people who are already here. And I think that's so true, like, because like you said, if you're coming here, you're definitely coming here for like the American dream, or you're coming here for a better life. Whereas like, if you're already here, I could totally see how it's like very difficult to like look out of the realm of like where you are. So definitely an outside perspective, like, yes, like there is a step up, because in order to make it here, you do have to have that leg up from where you're coming from. So,
Like people like in your community, or like you, right, or like me. I mean, people in the working class, some are just really driven to go beyond the working class, and others are really not, and they don't. And some are really driven, and they don't make it because they have other things that just keep knocking them down. But others are like, no, I'm good. Like you're here at Penn State, right? You're like, no, I'm going all the way, right? You went to college, you could have gone to maybe like a tech school, which would have been fine, right? Because you could have been a plumber, and you'd probably make more money you're going to make graduating from Penn State, but that's another story. And like, it's all these kinds of things, yeah. Do you have any final questions?
I think that was a nice wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing, and I kind of wanted to start here because I want you to see that these things are really, really complicated, and this is just kind of the nature of how it all plays itself out. You got to look at so many different variables to really begin to understand what it is that's actually going on in any one given situation. So, you have anything final you want to say?
no, I think that's good.
You rocked it. Thanks. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. All right. Hey, give them an applause if you could. Jen. All right. Hey, Jen, you are on. Jen, yeah. Hey, you see this, right? Like you see how. And by the way, anytime anybody comes up, you can sit. You don't have to sit on the table. It feels like it's just.
I feel like yours is too office.
You want to sit on a chair?
No, I think it's too office.
Yeah, it's kind of awkward. Hey, so tell us about you.
So my name is Jen. I'm a junior, and I'm studying pre-med. And I'm from New York, but my mom is Nicaraguan, and my dad is Puerto Rican.
Your mom's Nicaraguan, and you speak Spanish?
Yeah. Well, it's like Spanglish, but yes.
Spanglish. Dude, who do you speak more with, your mom or your dad?
My mom.
Yeah. Oh, that Puerto Rican Spanish too, man. It's impossible to.
Well, my mom is Nicaraguan.
Oh,
so-
she's Nicaraguan.
But
oh, yeah,
but I
okay.
do know the Puerto Rican slang. So.
Oh God, for me it's impossible. I don't even try. Hey, so can you go to the next one? Can you explain this to the class? Like, what is this? In particular, this Latinx thing. Just tell them what it is.
Okay, so I actually have some Latino Studies 100 credentials on this.
Dude,
So
awesome.
basically, if you know any type of Spanish, like the masculine and feminine.
No, they don't. So explain.
Okay, so Spanish has masculine and feminine, like grammar, like in the words. So like colors or female and male, you use an A or an O. So recently people find that it's not very inclusive for people who go by they, them, or, or they don't want to identify as masculine or feminine or she or he. So that's why the word Latinx came about. So, like, a lot of us here like to use Latinx, but it's not, like, actually in the Spanish language. So, actual, like, native Spanish speakers, like, kind of are like, what is that? But it's kind of, like, used here more and, like, in, like, academic purposes. And
Yeah, because academics have, whatever, because we are always creating stuff. So let's look at this, right? So in the Spanish language, so you're Latina. I'm not, but I would be Latino. But together we're Latinos, plural. We use the masculine, right?
Sí.
And so, but that's kind of weird. That's like saying mankind. So if we talk about, right, is it weird for you when people talk about, if I stand up here and was like, so let's tell the story of mankind, Jen. Can you tell the story of mankind?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, I guess isn't the word like human, like kind of man already? So.
No, not really,
I don't
but
know.
nonetheless. It is if you want to get down into to the deep, dark recesses of political correctness and create things. But otherwise, it's not really, but okay. But nonetheless, right, do you feel some kind of way about that when people talk about mankind and they're really talking about you?
I never really thought about it until I've taken Latino studies
Okay, all right.
or any type of class like that. Because that's just there's certain things in languages that you don't question.
Got you.
So something like a lot of people didn't really question it until it came to identity and pronouns.
Okay, so you don't question it. There are a lot of things we don't question because that's the nature of life. Fish don't question water, right? The fish doesn't understand what water is because they just are in water. So a lot of us, we live in a certain world that we don't question, and that's kind of, my wife questions it. My wife, she just bristles when people say mankind. It's just a thing. She's not, it's insanely radicalized or anything, but it's just one of these things. It's just nah, don't say that, right? So, when you talk about God, do you call God a he or a she?
I kind of just say God. I don't really say.
But you hear most people use he.
Yeah.
Do you feel does that strike you as some kind of way, kind of odd?
I mean, I feel like that's a whole nother thing because some people have believe in multiple gods.
Okay, but when we're but for the monotheists, it's he.
In a way, yeah. If I went to an actual church and the pastor saying he, that's just kind of I accepted that's how it is.
So do you think if women had created language and women were responsible for driving the language and creating the ideas, the thought systems about God, do you think women would have started calling God a he, or women would have called a God she? And would they talk about mankind, or would women be talking about womankind?
I think definitely it would be she or I don't know. I mean, we just want equality, so we probably would make up something that's inclusive.
Okay, so
But I feel she is with material things like boats and we're property, so that one has to go.
So listen, so for me, right, my car is a she, right? Yeah, you really like her?
My car is a he, so.
No, but it would be I got this really cool microphone, man. Isn't she cool? You know what I mean? That would be the kind of thing. So listen, I'm not I'm not promoting some agenda here, some feminist agenda, right? But what I'm doing is it's like the fish in water. So what if we take a step back? Because this is a thinking class, right? My job is to get to get us to think That's it. Just think. You come to your own conclusions about stuff. But one thing that I thought about from pretty young age is like calling God a he. And I'm like, and then people will say, if I ask them about it, they'll say, oh no, but I just use that. I mean, I don't really think about God as a he, right? I'm like, even though you're saying he, you say, God, he wants this for me, and when I pray to him, and when I this to him, and that kind of thing. I'm like, so, well, if it's not a he, then start calling God a she, and talk about her. God, she loves me. I pray to God every day, and she loves me. Start using she, the female pronoun, and just see how that feels, right? And see how you feel calling God a she. And if it doesn't matter to you, well, it doesn't really matter that I call God a he. It doesn't influence me. Oh, good. Then call God a she. And just see how you feel with that. And just see where it goes. And my job as a professor of sociology is to get us just outside a box to just think about things. We don't have to change the world, but the more we can think about these things, the better off we all are, man. You know what I mean? Going back to Latinx, how many Latinos? So I think you were kind of alluding to the fact that this is mostly like an academic thing, the Latinx thing.
Yeah, so I don't have anything against using Latinx. Like, I think it's nice and inclusive. It's just, in terms of language, the older generation is like, Latinx, like,
No, they don't
what
do
is that?
Yeah.
So I think it's just, like, in terms of language, it's like not grammatically like a thing
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Spanish, so that's
Yeah.
kind of the issue with it. But I think if it makes people feel included and prefer to use it, like, who says we can't make a little language change?
Totally, man.
So.
Like for me, I don't use it really a lot, but I mean, I use it. Well, first off, people don't use it outside the U.S., right? People are like, you Americans.
I don't think so.
No, you're a bunch of knuckleheads, right? Ask Julie. We talked to Julie the other day. They don't use it in Colombia. Nobody uses this. But it's a thing that we've created just as a way to bust through this idea of the male-female. Because once again, you understand, if I'm talking about just the women in here, it's all like las estudiantes, right? All of the women, the female. I'm going to use the female. But if I'm talking, and the men, it's going to be los, right? It's the male. But if I'm talking about all of you together, we revert back to the male. And so it's just a thing to say, just hold on, cowboy. Just like, can we just think about this for a second, right? And it's just kind of cool for women in here, right? For women, it's like, come on, man, just put your foot down and say, like, hold on, men created this language. Can I swear? Can
Yes.
I swear for a second?
In Spanish.
In Spanish?
I'm just kidding.
No, the Spanish words I know are really bad. It'd be like, motherfuckers, like, you all, like, come on, man. All the men, like, if you're all so cool and chill, then start using female pronouns to refer to yourself. Like, who cares? That's the thing, right? But men created the language, and so we're like, oh, no, you don't have to do that. Like, come on. All right, cool. Dude, by the way, just start referring to God as a she. Just see what happens, man. It's fun, actually. And why not? God gave birth. If you believe in God, you believe in this idea that God gave birth, right? Women give birth. God gave birth to the universe. Men don't give birth. Women give birth. Right here, man. Boom. There's the universe. Like, oh my God. Right? Came right out of me, God. So God clearly would be a she and not a he. If God is anything, it's going to be a she. But I have this idea that if you keep thinking about God as a man and keep using he, it really influences a relationship to the divine and to the cosmos. It really does. And it shifts. If you just shift that, we all talk about our mothers, and it's like, God the mother. By the way, in most of human history, God used to be a she, and probably throughout most of human history, most ways of conceptualizing God in most cultures around the world was that God was a she, not a he. So it's just this monotheistic, Abrahamic tradition kind of stuff. Dude, thanks, man. All right. Thank you. Hey. Hey, y'all. You, by the way, you all like, you get this, right? Like, I'm not being a so-called radical feminist right here kind of thing. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just like poking you, right? I'm just poking. So I just want to poke, like, dude, like, yeah, God's a she, I'm just like going to just keep poking. Like, go ahead, call God a she, dude. Go ahead, she. And then, my job is just get you to just do stuff like that. And it changes the way you think about life. And you get smarter. You just get smarter. You just start seeing the complications of all of life. It doesn't really matter, you know what I mean? But it's fun. Especially when you realize that, God, my whole life, I just have bought into certain ideas that that are my own. There's just ideas that come on, man. Come on, we got to start thinking on our own. So anyway, that's kind of fun. Okay, let's go with Madeline, I think, right? Is that right? Yeah, Madeline. Oh, this is going to be fun. All right. Maddie, how you doing?
I'm good.
So tell us about yourself.
My name is Maddie. I am a sophomore majoring in science.
In science?
Just science.
It's just science, right?
Yep, just general science.
Yeah, what do you want to do with science? Be a scientist, I guess.
Well, my goal is to go into nursing, but in order to switch into nursing at Penn State, you have to go to a branch campus, and I didn't want to leave. So
cool.
I'm still here.
Well, awesome. Yeah. Dude, don't you know that nurses are just like, it's a brutal job right now.
Yeah, you just get like beaten down.
God. Phew. All right. Okay. We're gonna talk about this. Do you know anything about this Instagram and Instagram thing, that brouhaha?
Yeah.
You do? Oh my God. What do you know about it?
Just kind of how like Instagram's being used as like a way to gain confidence, right? Is that what you're going at?
Okay. Well, hang on. Go to the next one. How about this? And I pulled one from Fox News. So we do Fox, and when Fox and CNN report the same thing, it's like the dawn of a new civilization. So Instagram acknowledged that this is Facebook, right? Because Facebook owns Instagram, right? They also own your soul. So whatever. Instagram acknowledges that their app can harm teens' self-esteem in response to a report, right? Instagram's grim appeal is a silent self-esteem breaker. So as a young woman, are you on Instagram?
I am.
So tell us about it. How you so I'm going to do what Facebook did. How do you feel when you're done scrolling through Instagram?
Well, I like only use Instagram for memes. Like I am not the girl who like sits there and looks at other girls' posts and comments and is like, "Oh my gee, like OMG, you're so cute." Like I'm not that person on Instagram. I kind of just like find the funny pictures and send it to people.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So do you remember this? This was like a few months ago. So what do you think about that when you read those headlines? What's it lead you to conclude?
Well, I definitely have like friends who are this way, so I can I see the effects on other friends of mine, but there definitely are a lot of issues with girls posting just to try and gain some confidence, and it does hurt them a lot of the times because they may not get as many likes or comments as they want. But
okay, so if you could make a final conclusion about this, right? So now I'm gonna draw you into your science mind, okay? Being the think like a scientist, using the scientific method. What could you say about this that you could say if you were having a conversation with you're talking to this class and you're going to make a conclusion based on this. What's your is it how on target is it? How far would you go to say okay?
I mean, I would say, I'm going to use their exact wording. Instagram can harm teen self-esteem in response to Republic, it can definitely harm.
Can harm.
It can.
Okay, that's a nice sign. Totally. It could be one person out of a million.
Yeah.
But that's a really nice way to say it. So you held up the sign. Your professors would be proud of you. Okay, you can make that conclusion. All right.
Yeah.
So let me walk you through a couple things here with this. So I saw this right myself, and I'm like, this sounds to me like it's totally true. Okay, it sounds so true, right? I mean, I know I've been working with young people your age for, almost 40 years, right? And I'm like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. It's like video games and violence. Violent video games and violent actions. Totally makes sense. I mean, you get these kids, like 12, 13, 15-year-olds are playing these really, really violent video games. And then it makes sense that they're going to somehow internalize the violence, and it's going to lead to some kind of violent behavior. So this completely makes sense. But then I thought, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? For you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but then I thought, wait, hang on a second, though. So my science mind comes in, and I say, does your science mind come in? What's the question you have? What's the yes, but that you have? Do you have any yes, buts?
Yeah. But it's not everyone.
Okay.
It's only a small group or
Okay.
half the group, or
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's all teens, or
Okay. And how many is it, though?
that's what we don't know.
Okay. Except that, so here's what they said. They said about 30%. So here's how so do you wonder how they got these data?
I don't know how they got the data. I don't
Okay,
remember.
all right. So now the risk is that you would be sitting around with your friends, and you'd be talking about this, and you start talking about, just about Instagram, and like, this, that, and the other thing. And this is this whole class, right? Everything we're talking about in here. Race, racism, inequality, gender, discrimination, everything. It's like, well, of course, police are violent. Of course, police kill more black and brown people than white people. Of course, it just only makes sense. Even though we never look at the data, we have no idea. We don't get a sense of it, but we look at headlines, and the headlines tell us that police are violent, and they kill a lot of black people and brown people. And they kill white people, but more black and brown people. But, we don't ever go and look. We don't really have to. I saw the video. Like, what do you mean, what video? That one video? You saw the story of the young girl on Instagram, and then, committed some act of self-harm, right? It's like, well, hang on a second, okay? So given what I just said, do you have any response to that? You don't have to, but.
I don't necessarily have a response.
Okay.
Kind of just agree.
Okay, so this is the challenge of sitting in a class like this, or any class, in living life. So here's what they did. Facebook just did this kind of voluntary thing. They just sent this questionnaire opportunity, this link out. I don't know how they did it, but it was just random, and you could just click on the link and answer a question. And the question basically was, and these were to teenagers, young, identified women, young girls, right? And it's just like, how do you feel after you on Instagram? Do you sometimes feel really shitty? And they're like, yes. So first off, if I send this out to the class, every young woman in this class, okay, and who's all? And you can respond if you wanna. Who's going to respond?
Probably only the people who have a strong opinion.
Okay.
It's whether they feel really shitty or they don't feel really shitty.
Okay. And 3 out of 10 responded back that yes, I have, not I do every time, not this is my life, but I have scrolled through Instagram and I have scrolled through Instagram and felt really shitty afterwards. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, I've scrolled through Instagram and felt shitty afterwards, and I'm like an old man. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, okay, I got it. So here's the other side. So then I say, okay, this is really suspect, because this isn't science here. And then I say, well, who else has talked about this? Who studied this? Right? Because you're a scientist, right? You're an emerging scientist. So
Sure.
every one of your professors is an expert on something, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to think about that, you want to go to that person who's been studying it forever.
Yeah.
So then I go to this guy, go to the next one. I'm like, here's this dude, Lawrence Steinberg, who studies this very issue. And he's written like 500 some articles in his career. And this is like what he really, really does. He digs it. And this is complex, right? Because you're trying to study it's really, really complex. You have to operationalize. Feeling bad? I mean, tell me, what are all the things you got to, like, think about that. You want to study this. Like, what would you do?
A lot of words. Hold on.
No, you don't have to read that. Just imagine that you really want to systematically study it. Like, it would be...
I mean, it'd be a lot of work.
Be a lot of work.
Get that done. I mean, there's a lot of, like, bias when it comes to things.
Yep.
Like this.
Yep.
Because you need, like, the volunteers, but, like, volunteer bias could also happen.
Everything.
Non-response bias. And
Yep.
There's kind of just, there's no exact way to get an answer on this question.
Yep. And this guy is saying, listen, I've been studying this my whole life. Not just me, but there are lots of people out there studying this very issue their whole lives. Women, men, all trans people, everybody. We're studying this. And like, it's inconclusive. Same with violent video games. It seems like it's going to make people violent, but the truth is, it doesn't really seem like that's happening, right? Just like eating McDonald's every day isn't really going to kill you. If you actually understood what went into a McDonald's hamburger, you'd think it would kill you if you ate one of those 7 days in a row, but it really doesn't. And so like, surprise. So then I go here to this guy, and I'm like, well, it actually is not, it's kind of inconclusive. So then you as a young woman who's reading the headlines as just a person, right? Then now what's your conclusion from this?
So my conclusion from this would be, I mean, Instagram can be a tool to either express yourself, but there definitely are consequences from trying to express yourself. I mean, you can't control everyone and what everyone says, so there's definitely like repercussions from posting everything you do or say or
and with this guy, with the people who study this, y'all, right? It's people who study this. Just like, you do what you do every day of your life. I do what I do every day of my life, right? We're all doing it, whatever we're doing. But you got other people, this is all they do is study this. And they're going like, it's kind of inconclusive. I'm not really sure. So what's that tell you about all the opinions that people are spouting out in the world, right? Like about voter fraud. Well, there's voter fraud. How do you know there's voter fraud? How do you know that? Well, I wrote it on Facebook. Really? How much voter fraud? I know people, this is all they do. All they do their whole lives for 30 years, they've been studying voter fraud. Ask them if there's voter fraud. Don't ask your Uncle Joe. You know what I mean? Well, my Uncle Joe says there's voter fraud everywhere. I'm like, well, fuck the hell, who's your Uncle Joe? Like, what's he know? You know what I mean? Go ask this person over here. They've studied it for 30 years. Ask them what they think about voter fraud. There's some really smart people, and they really want to get to the truth. Just like this guy, he wants to get to the truth. It's not because he's a man or he's this or he's that. He just wants to get to truth. It's like me. I want to get to the truth. I don't really care what the truth is. Let me get there. And then so it's complex. Dude, it's awesome that you're a science major. Thank you for that. Yeah. Dude, thanks. Yeah. Hey, Hey, do you want to go? Okay, Kiara. Yeah. Kiara, right? Kiara?
Yes.
Okay, have a seat. Kiara, I volunteered. Wait, is it Kiara or Kiara?
Kiara.
Kiara. I volunteered Kiara right before class, didn't I?
Yes.
But thanks for coming up. It's cool, right? So where are you from?
I'm from Maryland,
Where in Maryland?
PG County.
PG County. PG, you just say like PG, or like it's kind of Nova, PG. So many PG County people. Hey, so what I want to talk about with you is, you can just blacken the screen right now. I want to talk about cultural appropriation.
Okay.
So what do you know about it?
I believe it reinforces stereotypes and contributes to oppression.
So what is it, though?
I could give you like examples.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Like white girls wearing braids or wearing makeup that's darker than your skin color.
Or like when so like I remember one time I was in the DR, my wife and I went to the DR, and all the women on the beach, she has really long hair, and they all just wanted to do these little fine braids and stuff, and we're like, I don't know, right? So a lot of people think that would be like cultural appropriation.
Yes.
So cultural appropriation is taking something from somebody's culture and using it in your own culture, like copying it.
Yes.
But not saying like really where it's from.
Yes.
So but it's often something that's like really, really important, an important part of a person's culture, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, can you go? So, wait, hang on. I got to make sure. Yeah. Can you go to the next slide? So, did you by any chance, man? Did you recognize? Did you hear about this story? By chance?
No.
Okay. So, Stella Jean, okay, she's a prominent fashion designer. She made these pants that cost $1,200. Dude, $1,200. I know. Look at that. $1,200. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, you got to have a lot of money to spend $1,200 on pants like that. A sweatpants, of all things. But she was really lambasted by other people in the industry, fashion industry, and people who are Black history experts for what they say is cultural appropriation of those pants, right? And here, I'll read what they said. So they feature what looks at the top like a pair of boxers that are kind of peeking out above the waistband, okay? And it sparked a controversy after a TikTok user posted a brief video about the pants and said, this feels racist, right? This feels like you're just taking this part of this culture and you're just using it, and because you've woven the boxers inside the pants. So do you have a sense of what that is?
No.
I mean, but you get it's like has been a style that emerged out of the Black community.
Yes.
Yeah, so that, like wearing your boxers up and your pants down, right? And do you see that as as a Black thing?
No.
You don't? Like, who do you see it as, by the way? Like, just out of curiosity.
I would just think it's when people are sagging.
Or just sagging, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Yeah, right. I mean, I see it. I think the idea is that it emerged out of the Black, people have this idea that it emerged out of the Black community, okay, but other people take it and other people use it because that's the nature of style and so on, right? And just like Tim's, I don't know, like, dude, like you're wearing Tim's. Like, Tim's became a Black thing. Like, dude, it's like, what is this, like are Tim's back? Are Tim's back, by the way? Do you know? Do you know what Tim's are?
Yeah.
Do they still call them Tim's?
Yes.
All right. Dude, we wore Tim's when I was in high school. It was a white thing, white working class thing. Wait, hang on one second, though. We still have a couple minutes. Hey, wait. Are the attendance sheets going around? Gentlemen, we good? Awesome, man. Tim's were really, white people started the Tim movement, by the way, back in the 70s.
Okay.
And then Black people took it. We didn't get credit for it, but whatever, right? And now it looks like all these brown guys are wearing Tim's. Like, what's up with that? Okay, so anyway, So the idea is that this fashion designer took this style from the black community, and it's cultural appropriation, right? Wait, hang on, listen to this. This is the key. Stella Jean, does that name ring a bell?
Not at all.
Does it sound like somebody? Like, where do you think she's from?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, go to the next slide. So that's her. So she's Haitian. Like when I read this and I saw that her name was Stella Jean, she's the fashion designer who is culturally appropriating, who's taking this style in the black community and selling it on $1,200 sweatpants. And so these TikTok users, these people just like randomly are just critiquing. And I'm like, wait, she's got to be Haitian, right? Because Jean is a Haitian apellido, or a Haitian last name. So I'm like, she's got to be Haitian. So she's black. So I'm like, how is this cultural appropriation if a black person is using a black style, right? You know what I mean? And then I'm like, but all it takes is one TikTok user to just say that, and then it ends up in CNN as some controversy. And I'm like, dudes, it just takes one knucklehead who probably didn't even know that Stella Jean was Haitian, was black. And then suddenly it's this thing. And then somebody like you reads it, or I read it, and then suddenly we're retweeting it, and it's cultural appropriation. There they go again. And everyone's going to assume, hey, wait, hang on a second. I still have a minute. Do you have a minute? What time is it, bro? 4:20. Oh, no wonder you're all leaving. Hey, wait, hang on. Can we just give applause for Kiara? All right, man. Dude.